Welcome to the Light the A Sports Podcast, home of the top interviews of Aggie Sports Nation.
Former Utah State basketball head coach Rod Tueller. Utah State gymnastics coach Kristen White. Well, welcome to the program, John Eccles. Ashley Cardozo. Welcome to the program, former Utah State running back Emmett White. How you doing?
And now, here are your hosts, Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Light the A podcast. Jason Walker, Eric Frandsen. Today's guest, he's one of the greatest men's basketball players in Utah State history. He was a 4-year starter with the Aggies, and he now holds 8 career records at Utah State, including points scored, 3-point field goals made, games started, total minutes played. He also holds 3 single-season records, 2 freshman season records, and a pair of single-game records, including 10 made three-pointers against New Mexico State in 2006, and then he made 15 free throws without a miss, also against New Mexico State, but in 2007. And if his legendary status wasn't assured by that, or by his selection into the Utah State Athletics Hall of Fame in 2001, then the fact that his number 20 jersey will soon hang alongside greats such as Greg Grant, Wayne Estes, Marvin Roberts, Burt Cook, and Cornell Green surely will. We welcome to the program, Jaycee Carroll.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thanks. I'm really excited, honestly.
Thanks for coming down, JC. It's taking time away from your cows.
Yeah. No problem. They just want to eat in the winter and sleep, so little to do there.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I think you just described all of us.
Yeah. So, kind of first question is, list off all those guys got their jersey hanging on the rafters or on the box, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I guess my question is, at what point in your life or career do you look up there and realize, you're aware of what you were doing at Utah State when you were doing it, setting records and accumulating eventually career points record. Like, at what point do you look up there and realize, my jersey might actually hang up there someday?
Yeah. I never thought about that stuff much as a player. I was really naive in those sense. That I just went out and played. I went out and competed, tried to do the best, tried to be the very best I could every single game, every single practice. I mean, I was competitive, and I never really thought or worried about those things. And honestly, it comes from my dad as I was growing up, and I started to distinguish myself in basketball and in sports. He always said, hey son, you need to stay humble. No matter what you end up doing, you need to be humble. And so I always kind of went with that mindset. And in high school, I never kept track of my points I scored. And the spectrum was harder because they put them on the scoreboard. So you look at the score, you can kind of see where you're at. But those were never things that I was chasing. Now, as I went throughout my career and got into the professional ranks and started playing and seeing the whole body of work that was starting to accumulate over – counting college and pros, over a 17-year basketball career post-high school, the thoughts started entering my mind a little bit. What is the criteria for a guy's name to be up there? And as I got back, I go to the spectrum, and awesome fans that we have there would start saying, "Hey, when's your name going up there? When's your name going up there?" And I just laugh and go, "I don't know," and I don't know how that happens, and so that. Then the idea started creeping in my mind a little bit, right? Like, hey, maybe it could be.
So I guess how did you find out eventually how that all works out and how they select? When they how they reach out to you and let you know about that whole process?
Right. So again, I was fortunate enough that I just got a phone call a couple months ago from athletic director Jerry Bovee. And said, hey, it's our honor, and Utah State like to honor you by putting your jersey up in the rafters. And I was speechless, didn't quite know what to say, how to respond. And what an awesome honor. I'm very, very humbled by that, and looking forward to that night. It's going to be awesome.
Did you anticipate that something could happen soon after retiring, being back in the area, or did it still kind of catch you by surprise?
Still kind of caught me by surprise. I did know for the Utah State Hall of Fame, it's kind of a 10-year wait is what they want to look at. And so as my 10 years came up and I wasn't in the Valley, I kind of had some administrators reach out and say, hey, we're going to put you in, but it's going to be when you're done playing. It's going to be when we're done playing. So when my career came to an end, I kind of anticipate a couple things like this happening.
The fact that it's going to be taking place against Nevada, it used to be a really good team. Well, they're still a good team, but they were an old rack rival during your time. And in fact, did it split between the Big West and the WAC, or was it mostly just in the WAC?
Mostly just the WAC. My freshman year was Big West, and then the remaining of my career was the WAC.
So there were times when Nevada was a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that the jersey ceremony is going to be taking place against a rival like that's going to be a big game. They hurt the Aggies earlier this season. That's going to be a big moment. Does that add any extra excitement or interest for you because it's going up against a former team that was a rival back in your day?
Yeah, I think it does for sure. Look, I don't remember if my junior or my senior year, but Nevada was ranked 10th nationally when they came here to the Spectrum, and we beat them. And then a week later, we went to the WAC tournament. We played them again, and they were ranked 12th, and we beat them again. Exact same score. It was kind of crazy. Nick Fazigos on the team, their coach Rick Fox, and they were just incredible rivals. They were a very high level team at the time. They were sending NBA guys to the NBA every season, and I did catch the second half of the Aggie Nevada game this year on TV. Yeah, it was funny. I turned it on with like 9 minutes to go. Aggies were up 5 or 6 points, I think, and then Nevada went on a 19-0 run and ended it. So with the way the Aggies have been playing, and I'm assuming, and I would guess that the Nevada game is going to be sold out. It's going to be one of the funnest nights in the Spectrum this season, I think.
With the ceremony itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the opportunity to have your jersey in the rafters. You have an opportunity to have some special people with you in attendance, I would assume.
Right.
Who are you going to invite? Who's going to be there for you?
Right. So to begin with, obviously, my wife, my kids, they're excited for this, and we've been looking forward to it since we got the call. My parents and grandparents, my wife's parents and grandparents, my brothers and sisters. Obviously, first with that circle of people that I grew up with, and then I've tried to reach out to people that meant something, that were important in my basketball career, old coaches. Those kinds of people, friends that were at the gym, rebounding for me, shooting with me, because they all had a hand in what I was able to achieve on the basketball court. So it's just kind of want to get everyone together and just more than anything have a fun night, celebrate, the culmination of a basketball career.
So when you say the Spectrum's going to be sold out, you're going to sell it out by yourself with everyone you're inviting.
I'm trying to, yes, I'm trying to. I tell you what, all the people that are wanting to come and inquiring about tickets, we could probably almost fill it up. But my stuff's kind of secondary to what the Aggies have been doing so far this year. They've had a great season. They're a lot of fun to watch, and I think I saw something. They're still currently technically kind of on the outside looking in is what they're projected of the NCAA tournament. But with a couple wins against Nevada, I know they still have to play Boise State again. That could change really, really quickly.
So I want to get to kind of your thoughts on their season, but I guess starting with, you mentioned, people who played a role in your life, coaches. I guess one of those obviously Aggie's very familiar with, Stu Morrill.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously had a chance to play under him. What was that like, playing under, that's another Aggie legend there.
Oh, yeah, he is. And more than anything, he's going to come. He's going to be in attendance. And ultimately, I owe my career to that guy. He was the coach that offered me a scholarship. He's the coach that gave me an opportunity to play Division I basketball. He was a coach that said, hey, this freshman just got back from a mission, but it looks like he could contribute, and he gave me the minutes on the court. We were talking off air about a couple things, and as I talked to the Aggies, and I've actually told this to the Aggie basketball team, I said one of my most one of the records I have up here that I'm most proud of is minutes played. No Aggie up until now has been able to wear the Aggie jersey on the court for more minutes than me. And that's something that I think is very cool. And Coach Morrill, he was great. He'd always get upset with us and say, look, I got something in my pocket that you all want, and that's playing time. So you need to do it my way because I got the playing time in my pocket. And I'm forever grateful that he distributed a lot of that playing time that was in his pocket to me.
Yeah, here in the studio, we have a bunch of posters of different teams, and they have the team schedules, something that they hand out before the season. And we've got a poster for every season that you were an Aggie. When you look at some of those, we saw you when you came in, and you were looking at some of those, commenting on some of the different teams that you were on. Some of the reflections just about the teammates that you had, and each team kind of has its own life, and how you go through ups and downs through the course of the season. But as you look at some of those teams, what kind of memories, and that's kind of a broad question, but anything that really stands out to you in some of those different iterations of teams that you had while you were wearing that Aggie jersey?
Right. Honestly, as I sit back and try to look at my career and remember it, there's a lot of things I don't remember. I used to remember every single game, I could remember every play. And then over the years, there just got too many of them, I think, and my brain just couldn't handle it. But coming back and being able to sit in front of these posters and see the faces of these teammates, like everything keeps flooding back, right? I look at my freshman year with the Spencer Nelsons, the Nate Harrises, the Cass Mateuses, and that was a year that I just was competing to find a spot on the team, competing to find out where I'd fit, and luckily they welcomed me. I was a piece that they needed. They had Spencer, you had Nate doing what they did, and I was very complimentary to what they were doing. And that's kind of what I was. I was a very good complimentary player that could come make some baskets when we needed it. My sophomore year was a year that I felt like I could have been better. I went through that year. I didn't have a bad season, but the feeling I had at the end of it was I have to get better. I have to improve. I got kind of lumped into this, hey, he's a shooter. He's a shooter. He's a three-point shooter. And I struggled when that was taken away from me. So I spent the next summer developing a mid-range game. And that brought us to the 07, 08, or 06, 07 team that we're looking at right here on the wall. And I made the comment that team overachieved. And I really think we did. I think the team that was constructed at the beginning of the year had a real good chance to do things, but we just kind of had some players that didn't pan out. And we had some players that did elevate themselves to become more. Chris Clark was one of them. I don't think he wasn't supposed to be our starting point guard. It was Michael Watson. But Chris Clark earned that spot. We had Chris Sessions as our guard. Chad Spicer made some huge shots to win games. Steve Ducharme filled his role perfectly. And I felt like we overachieved that year for sure. It took a lot of effort, but we did. Then my senior year, it was great. We had everything there to be a really, really good NCAA tournament team. The only thing was we had some of those pieces were young still. Ty Wesley just back off a mission. It was Gary Wilkinson's first year as an Aggie. Chris Clark was a stud. Tyler Newbold had a great career. He was just a freshman as well. And so we just kind of had some pieces that fit in well and some pieces that still had to mature a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause those were teams that I think, like next year they go on to win 30 games. Obviously, those guys once they developed into, feels like you maybe missed it by 1 year.
Oh, absolutely. They had an awesome run right after I left, and yeah, we could see how great those guys were, and they were very important on our team. They just got that experience after playing a full year, and they were great.
So while we're walking down memory lane, as these memories coming back. So you mentioned the minutes played, something you're proud of. 4,596 of them at college. Remember any one of those in particular that's a favorite? Just a 1 minute.
So am I right or am I mistaken? Is that the most minutes?
It is. The Sam Merrill's the next close. He's about 230-ish minutes behind you.
Right. So yeah, that if you divide that, was that an extra 5 or 6 games I was able to play, just by minutes on the court.
Yeah, you're third in minutes per game, so you're not on top of the minutes per game.
Yeah.
A couple of guys beat you for that one, but total minutes, you got them all.
Yeah. And so, like I said, that's something. It's an easy thing to talk about being proud of, right? I was able to wear the Aggie jersey on the court more than anyone at this point. And that was very cool. Things that really stand out. Some goofy things come to mind. My freshman year, spraining my ankle at not Santa Barbara. It's a pyramid. Long Beach.
Yeah.
Long Beach State, I think. And hobbling off the court because, like Mike Williams always says, he goes, "You're the only injured player I can never catch up to." And it's kind of goofy. I'd sprain my ankle, and I'd want to – it was embarrassing for me to lay on the court, like, in pain. So I would try to disappear and then lay around in agonizing pain, like underneath the bleachers. So that was kind of the first time it happened in college. I ran off the court. I was underneath the bleachers. I'm just laying there. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Because if you haven't had a sprained ankle, they hurt so bad. They really do. And so that's just a goofy one that I remember. I remember a Northridge game. They gave me a shot to win at the buzzer, and I missed. Cal State Fullerton had a good game. I remember the Big West tournament my freshman year. We put in a new play called Hand before the championship game that we ran and we made a bunch of baskets on it. It was basically a handoff for me to attack the baseline and shoot a little baseline runner that I was able to develop. And talk about naivety, right? I was not aware of what was on the line in the Big West tournament. And I don't want to make it sound like I was dumb, but if we win, we're in the NCAA tournament. That thought never crossed my mind. Like, oh, if we lose, I just played with this fearless abandon, and they interviewed me afterwards. The TV did, and he goes, "Well, you got your dancing shoes on? Show us some moves." And I was so confused. I was like, "What is this guy talking about? My dancing moves?" Because I just was kind of really naive. I was like, what is this guy talking about? And then it's still, even after that, hey, we're going to the tournament. It's kind of like, well, yeah, we were supposed to, right? Like, that's just the way it is. And we took the bus, and we had to stop at Brigham City. Like, no, we have to see the show, and our flights were late, so we stopped at the golf course in Brigham City to watch the selections show. That's when it finally kind of dawned on me, like, oh, my gosh, now I get it. But I was so naive. That's how kind of my freshman year was. I was just so wrapped up in trying to just catch up and understand what Coach Morrow wanted that those extra things never really crossed my mind.
You, during your course of playing, certainly the three-point shot was something that you excelled at. Wasn't something that was a huge part of Stu Morrow's offense.
Right.
He wasn't like modern NBA or even college basketball is now, where it's very much the three-point shot is a high efficient shot. But you still shot it very well. I mean, at a very high clip. Mm-hmm. What was your fifth all-time in three-point percentage for your career? When you see the game today, how many more threes do you think you would have shot based on how college basketball has kind of evolved in that short time since you played?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And it comes down to, well, college basketball has evolved. I think Steph Curry had a big – he left his mark, right? He changed the NBA. He made the three-point shot such a premium that people shoot a lot more. Coach Morrow, he ran a very strict offense and defense, very disciplined. He gave lots of people the opportunity. We scored from lots of different places. And, there wasn't a high emphasis on three-point shooting. The number of attempts, anyway. Shooting them at a high percentage was important, but not a certain number of attempts per game. And as far as things, I look at the way that teams play now, and I've been fortunate enough to have some conversation with Coach Odom and say, hey, tell me about this. What you guys do on offense? What's this? What are the rules? Tell me how this works. I see what you're doing, but what are the rules that you guys have in place to do this? So he's kind of walked me through that. But to answer a short question with a long answer, there's a chance I would have shot like 10 or 15 three-pointers a game. Who knows at this point? But it would definitely been fun to play in a system like that.
So, I was talking about, prevalence of three-pointers. I know the one line that often goes throughout Aggie Nation is, well, Jaycee Carroll played after, maybe Steph Curry. Might have gone to the NBA. You kind of agree with that? Do you feel like you might have been able to at least make a year or two, in a league that more valued, obviously, your best skill set?
Yeah, I do. I'd agree with that statement. I left before Steph.
Pretty close. I mean, you guys were pretty close.
Yeah,
I mean, college at the same time.
Yeah, I
to some
played
degree.
summer league against Steph. I mean, I played against him. He was an MVP, Steph, but I checked in the game. I was like, I got this guy. No problem. Let's see if he can guard me. And so I enjoyed that. There was no like, oh my gosh, it's Steph Curry. It just was, hey, let's go play basketball. I can line up with this guy. So to get back to the question, yeah, I absolutely believe I would have had at least that 2-year opportunity to kind of prove myself. In a league where the three-point shot is at a premium, and you have the guy that led the nation in three-point percentage his senior year, I don't know why that guy would not be on a team for at least, get that 1 or 2 year run to fill him out. I think it would have been an investment, very valuable, a very valuable experiment to at least see what I could have done.
But the three-point shot in EuroLeague basketball, how certainly internationally it's become more and more of a prevalence, and so you filled an important role for the teams that you were on when you played professionally in Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of pride myself that I always had a very balanced attack. We were kind of talking about some Aggie players before we got on air, and if you looked at my professional statistics and even my college statistics, I was almost very even 2-point attempts to 3-point attempts, or even more 2-point attempts to 3-point attempts. I tried to be really balanced player that way, and not get pigeonholed as, hey, he's a 3-point shooter, even though that's what people saw more. And in Europe, I filled that role for 13 years, 10 years at the highest level with Real Madrid. And yeah, my coach, he would run stagger plays for me. We had 2 modes, basically. I usually came in off the bench. First mode was ball screen mode. We had good point guards that would play ball screens. I'd check in. We would switch, and we would go to, we're going to set pin downs, we're going to set double screens, we're going to set stagger screens for JC to come off and shoot the ball. Now, it's irresponsible to come off and just shoot all the time, so I developed a very good mid-range game where I could get in the paint, shoot floaters, shoot runners, but those actions drew a lot of attention, and so I was able to create shots for my teammates as their players would come in to help. I could kick out to them for 3-point shots. Long story short, yeah, for 10 years in the EuroLeague, I was voted the league's top 3-point shooter.
So going back to three-pointers, there's one player in Utah State, so Stephen Ashworth. He's kind of been he's one of the top 3-point percentage guys in the country.
Yeah.
So kind of shooting percentages similar to what you were doing. I was doing some math the other day, and at least this season, he has a chance to break your single-season 3-point makes record that you've held for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you said your minutes record might be something you're more proud of, maybe career points, but I was thought on he might have a chance to break one of your records.
Yeah, good for him. That just shows that he's put in a lot of effort, a lot of time to be able to make those shots. I mean, 3-point shooting comes down to attempts. It comes down to practice. It comes down to work ethic and confidence to be able to shoot them. So good for him. Good for the coaching staff to put that trust in him. We were talking. He's getting about seven, almost 8 attempts a game, I think, and shooting at a very high clip. I mean, that's great. You can't complain about a guy that is going to take that many shots and make close to 50% from 3. I mean, really, I think good 3-point shooters are always 40% or above, but really the number that makes it equivalent to shooting 50% from 2 is like a 33% 3-point shooter. So that's a decent 3-point shooter. Really good 3-point shooters are 40 and above for sure.
Yeah. That's where they kind of become a weapon, is when you're shooting in that 45% thereabout.
Oh yeah, when you got a guy that you can count on to make it at that clip, yeah, give him the ball more. Why the heck not?
They've been doing that. I said he took 17 threes the other night. It's like Just let him fire.
What game was that?
It's
It was-
Colorado State.
Colorado
He took
State-
17 threes?
They just kept playing his own and just let him shoot.
That's awesome. I'm sorry, I didn't look up that game. How many did he make?
He made 8. So
Made 8?
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's the night I made 10 against New Mexico State. I shot 16. That was my highest attempt night, right?
So I guess I should ask about that game. 10-3. That's still the record. All these 3-pointers, Taylor Funk, Stephen Ashworth, going off. They've made it 7-8 times in a game.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor made 6.5, and
Right.
I was looking up that game again. I was like, is he going to break it? But then he didn't. He kind of got smothered, and they didn't really let him shoot the rest of the game.
Uh-huh.
But 10 threes. I know you guys ended up, I think, losing that game, so that was probably a little disappointing. Or did you win that
I
game?
think we won that game.
I thought I heard somebody say you lost that game.
But I'll be honest, I can't remember now. But yeah, that was the only. I made 10 3-pointers. And I scored 30 points that night. So that was it. I made 10. I was 10 3-pointers.
Just living behind the 3-point line.
Yeah, same I did. They kind of went to a little bit of a zone, and Chris Clark just kept finding me. Honestly, just kept finding me. And you talk about Taylor Funk. It's funny when you look at shooters, right? Makes 6 in the first half. Now, a shooter, thoughts go through their mind. One thought is, oh dang, I'm on fire. I should shoot more. But another one is, hey, I'm 6 for 6, 6 for 7. Maybe I don't want to miss one. Maybe I want to just stay right there. And that was something that and every player, every shooter kind of goes through that at times. But that's I would laugh. I would professionally. I see guys. Oh, he went 6 for 6 from 3. It's like, well, that's awesome. He should have shot more. He should have taken a few more shots to see how far he could have got. But that was just kind of my mentality, and heck yeah. And honestly, if I was Colorado State and I'm giving a guy that's shooting 46%, 17 shot attempts from 3, I think I needed a better plan.
That's what I was saying they did on our show. I was like, why are you letting the team the whole team shot like 39 threes in the game? I was like, why would you let them do that?
They should have came up with a different plan, I think. But
It's okay.
Take what you get.
We'll
Sometimes.
take it.
And
Yeah.
if that's it, let it fly, man.
Were you looking up that game?
Oh, I was starting to, but
Yeah, we'll leave it for later.
yeah.
Wow, I'm
We'll-
trying to think.
We'll take your word for it.
It seems I don't know though. Now you got me.
It was
Got me
0506 season.
Here, I'll look it up during this next.
All right.
Okay. It's like getting ready to look it up on my phone. So when this is one of those where we're like reflecting back on your career, but also getting your opinion on the current team. And as we're talking about Stephen Ashworth, Taylor Funk, I mean, this team shoots a lot of threes. You've had opportunities to go visit with this team. Let's go just there. Just what's that opportunity like to go back in your old gym, talk to a different set of coaches, different set of players, and just kind of impart kind of the experiences you've had, the things that you needed to do to get to where you were.
Yep.
What was that experience like for you to go do that? As like, gosh, now I remember what it was like being in their shoes, and now I'm on the other side now.
Yeah, and it's a weird transition to begin with. Last year I went to my first Aggie game since my senior night, so 13 years, and I'll be honest, it was weird. I didn't enjoy myself very much. I think there was some sadness. I wish I was still doing this. Oh, I remember these good times. Like it wasn't fun. I didn't, and I don't really have the words to explain it. But it wasn't an awesome experience. Now, I've had the chance this year. I've gone to 4 or 5 games, and I love it. I take my kids. I take my wife. It's fun to see all the old faces that are still there. Talk to the Al Lewises and what's it? He does the voice.
Rob Fligger,
Rob Fligger, yes. Oh.
PA guy.
Talk to Rob Fligger and it's been fun. And this coaching staff has been really great to me since I came back. I have an open invitation to come whenever I want, to hang out, to talk to the guys. Coach Odom will reach out and say, hey, we want you to come. And when they found out about the jersey retirement, and he turned off the lights and brought me down kind of as a surprise to him. I got to talk to the players a little bit. I got a couple of them that'll reach out and they'll come to my house and we'll get shots up, and I'll give them some things to think about, some things to do, and I'll be honest, I'll shoot with them and and be like, look, you got some work to do. You can't beat me yet. And kind of razz him a little bit like that. So I feel like I have now transitioned to the other side, that I can just sit back and be very happy for their successes, which, you know, for one reason or another, maybe that was harder a couple of years ago. But now it's, hey, let's see what we can do to make the Aggies the best possible.
Was that difficult for you to say you were done playing professionally? Or did it feel, because sometimes athletes, injury, time, the grind, family, other demands on your body and your time, just it seems natural. But for others, it can be a really tough decision to grapple with. What was it like for you going through that experience?
Yeah, it was tough. I had kind of an offer to play a couple more years with Madrid, which would have put me into my 40s, which would have been kind of awesome, kind of another thing to talk about. But I found it but I knew, look, when I left college, I had a goal to play 10 years. I said, if I could play 10 years professionally, I can walk away happy. I can walk away satisfied. And so when I got to year 10, the next 3 years were bonus years for me. And I'd always hoped that I'd get to the end, the last few years of my career, and be able to make the decision whether I want to keep going or not. Meaning that I wasn't knocked out by injury, that I wasn't knocked out because no one wanted me on their team anymore, but that I could still play and I could sit there and make that decision. Ultimately, I looked at my wife, I looked at my kids, and we decided it was time to come home, let my wife live some of her dreams that she put on hold for such a long time, let my kids be around their grandparents and their cousins. Became way more important than me playing until I was 41 years old. And so, was it hard to say I'm done? Yeah, I get asked, hey, what do you... And I couldn't bring myself to say the words, yeah, I'm retiring, yeah, I'm finished. I always was leaving that door open, like I might come back, I might come back, I might come back. And finally I did. It was tough, but I spent a long time just figuring out what would come next. And I think that helped. I came back and I had other aspects of life to jump into. If I didn't have those things, I'd be a miserable human. I'd be a miserable, unhappy human, for sure.
So, I was hearing you talk about it. It sounded a lot like, remember, Tom Brady's whole song and dance, retiring,
man.
where it's like he didn't make the decision you did, where you decided to, let your family kind of live their lives. And I guess, did you just mainly live in Spain when playing for them, or did you come back to the U.S.?
Yeah, so I spent 8 weeks a year in Cache Valley. I was gone September 1st until basically June 31st. That was our season. Preseason, and my team, we played in the finals every single year, so we were the last game of every season for 10 years. And it was awful and annoying at times.
It's a lot of basketball.
Oh, because you get to that if you just want to go home so bad. And so we spent 2 months here in Cache Valley, became our home base. We always kept some kind of a residence here, whether it's a townhome or a home, and this is where we came back to. Now you look at those 8 weeks and you go, all right, great, but you figure at least a week doing a family reunion with my family, a week with a family reunion with my wife's family. Now you're down to 6 weeks, and it goes by really quickly.
So you mentioned, giving advice to, or at least talking to some of the players in the current Aggie team. What advice would you give to a younger player?
Right, and honestly, I want to say names with some of the people, but I do hope that and wish that they would come and talk with me and pick my brain. I did that a lot when I was a young player. I talked a lot to Spencer Nelson. He was overseas. I asked 3 years of college of, hey, what's this like? What's it going on? What do you think? What about this guy? What about this agent? What can I do to get better now? And I'm pretty opinionated with them. I don't really beat around the bush. I don't see there's any point to it. I've been around this game for a long time. I walk into a gym, I pretty much know what's going on. I can look at players and go, hey, you're great at this, you're terrible at this. Here's how we get better at this. Here's your strengths. Let's go to them. So I really hope and wish that a lot of these guys would come out and I guess this is kind of like, and I've told them it's open invitation. Like, look, I've got a gym in my house. Let's come do some basketball because I still love it. I'm good at it, and I can provide value to you. So, all kinds of anything from, hey, should I redshirt? Should I not redshirt? Well, what should your mindset be? What do I do? Well, how do I get better at mid-range game when I'm primarily a three-point shooter? How to become a better three-point shooter when all I can do is drive? Things like that. I look forward to the opportunity to talking to young players.
So if I came and showed you my jump shot, would you analyze it?
Oh my goodness, we would analyze it, and we would have you shooting lights out in no time.
I'd probably spend the first day crying with how bad it is. It is. I know how bad it is, but I can at least make it 3 every now and again.
Oh, good. Well, we keep tears at a minimum. I get a few tears in the gym. I also. Now, this isn't my girls don't. I help coach a 7th, 8th grade girls basketball team, which is one of my favorite things to do. And these girls have gotten so much better in the last 2 seasons.
So it sounds like coaching really should be in your future. I mean, just beyond.
Yeah,
7th, 8th grade girls.
it should be. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I step into a gym. I'm very comfortable and I like it. I can connect to kids. I've been around so many types of players through so many years that you figure out how to talk and communicate with them, what motivates them, what worries them, help them create a mindset to be successful. So, yes, I do love it. Now, the things that give me pause are like, all right, I spent, all these years and call it 100 nights a year in hotels and on the road. Do I want to jump back into that? Do I want to be on the road? Do I want to be at basketball games when my kids have basketball games? Do I want to be in Nevada when my daughter's playing, when my wife's team is cheering? Do I want to go watch junior college games and high school games to recruit? That's kind of where, when you're talking about the college level, those things kind of make me say, is that where I want to be in life right now?
You'd mentioned that you're willing to be a mentor. Mm-hmm. What's really cool is that there are a number of former Aggies, not just average Aggies, great Aggie greats, who are still here in Cache Valley. And you played with some of those.
Right.
And it's awesome having these guys back and make this their home and be able to interact and mingle. Like, how often do you get together with some of those guys? We've heard through our good friend Al Lewis there was a legendary pickup game that happened not that long ago.
Yeah, there was. And honestly, that was one of the greatest things for us. The way it came about was goofy and kind of dumb. But what it did was look, the game was set, and my good friend that set up the game was like, we're going to play them tomorrow. I said, hold on. Give us 3 or 4 weeks to maybe start playing a little basketball, get in shape a little bit. And so what happened for those 3 or 4 weeks, we were all in a group chat, and we just talked about it. We talked about basketball. We were very much involved in each other's lives again, which was fun. I mentioned my gym. I get, hey, are you shooting in the morning? Yeah, can I come? Yeah. So, like, Preston Medlin would come to my house and shoot baskets in the morning. John Neal came out and shot. We got Gary Wilkinson. Me and him would come out and work out. So it got us all together doing something that we loved again, and it's fun. That game that was supposed to be quiet behind doors, we're going to try and redo it next year again, but have kind of a charity spin on it. Try and get some people in and give the funds to Sub for Santa. It's still in the works. Nothing's set in stone yet, but we would like to. But as far as these other Aggies mentoring people, I'm very involved my wife's very involved in the Mountain Crest basketball stuff. We have connections to the Ridgeline and Green Canyon, and I've kind of had conversations with coaches and said, and we've done this too, we said, hey, I have 7 guys. We're all former Aggies. We want to come play basketball against your high school kids. Get 8 guys, open the gym at 8 o'clock, and we'll take care of it. And so, awesome. And we've done that. And now the fun thing was, like, we have Brady Jardine and Gary Wilkinson. I won't name the young high school player, but this high school player is about 6'6", 6'7". He gets the ball. He's got Gary and Brady Jardine on him, and he tries to shoot it over him. And the comment was just very good. Brady says, listen, when you have a 6'9" guy and a 6'7" guy that's as athletic as me, both guarding you, need to pass the ball. Just pearls of wisdom like that, right? And they were so gracious with their experience to be able to say, look, let's think about what you just did. There's a better play to make. And so they're more than happy and welcome to mentor as much as people are willing to listen.
So if we got all those, former Aggies, you play high school, think you could go against the current team, the current men's team? Think you could?
Well, unfortunately, we're all 40 or close to 40, and we don't quite have the energy to keep up with how they get up and down the court nowadays.
Just old school, give them a little arm check.
And we would do that. They would not have a fun time playing against us. That's for sure.
As long as you play with 2,000 rules, not the current no hand checks, no body checks.
Oh, absolutely. Then it'd be fun, but no, and that's honestly why I haven't played with any men's league stuff or anything like that. I enjoy playing with these younger kids because they have the legs to keep running, and it makes me keep running. And so it's fun to play with these young kids that are full of energy.
All right, we've kept you for a long time.
Yeah.
We might have run out of questions, believe it or not.
You've been very generous with your time. I know a lot of Aggie fans out there eager to hear what you're up to. So besides mentoring and helping other kids and things like that, you'd mentioned as we started that you've got your own little herd.
Yeah.
So you've turned into a gentleman's farmer. What other things are you up to?
Yeah. So a couple things that have me really excited is this beef that I raise. It's
like Wagyu beef, right? It's like
farm
specialty.
to table specialty. I got obsessed with it a few years ago while I was still playing, and I went down the road of how do I raise the best beef in the world. I reached out to people that have been involved in the Japanese herds, the feeding process, the genetics that were needed, the embryo production. I'm able to do all that at my place and adjacent farms. So I have embryo calves, and it became really a passion that I enjoy. And yeah, the final product is pretty spectacular. Now, constantly looking to improve, but it's pretty spectacular, and we're trying to scale to a bigger size at this point. The other thing that has me excited and the way I spend most of my time is I jumped into the wealth management world, and I've been working really hard to find solutions for not only high ultra net worth people, but everyday people that need retirement savings and estate planning, and I love it. I genuinely see a need. I see people that it's amazing. We sit down with them. They go, "Hey, this is what I've worked, and this is what I have. What do I do with it?" And it's very rewarding to say, "Well, here's a plan, and we have a good plan to be able to help those people." So that's kind of my second career, and I absolutely enjoy it. And I look forward to being able to share with more people the kind of these solutions that we've had to find and we've had to build because it wasn't offered anywhere else. That's kind of what has me excited, that we're kind of building something that I haven't been able to find anywhere else.
Very cool. Well, Jaycee, thanks very much for coming down and spending some time with us, and best of luck on the 18th. That's going to be an emotional day. It's going to be awesome. Definitely well-deserved to be among other greats, Aggie greats, in the history of Utah State basketball. Yeah, well, thank you. It's an honor. Thanks for having me. Honestly, anytime, I'm happy to come down and talk and share old stories and be a grumpy old guy at times, but it was fun. So thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you, everyone, for listening.
This has been the Light the A podcast with Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen. Be sure to like the episode and share your favorite part of it. You can also find the show on Twitter at 1069 The Fan.